The San Francisco 49ers have made a flurry of roster moves. Let's get into the action. The San Francisco 49ers have officially announced they have signed running back Ameer Abdullah, quarterback Carter Bradley, wide receiver Marquez Callaway, and wide receiver Andy Isabella. I'll talk about my first impressions of these players, but let's get through all of the roster moves. The 49ers also activated Ben Bartch from the NFI list. So Ben Bartch will return to practice, and in corresponding moves, the San Francisco 49ers have released Equanimous St. Brown. They also waived offensive lineman Sebastian Gutierrez, wide receiver Malik Knowles, and safety Jalen Mahoney. All right, so let's get into some analysis of some of these players. I already did a video on Ameer Abdullah and Andy Isabella, both players that I thought were strong additions considering the current state of where the 49ers are at in training camp. And these guys are solid veterans who offer special teams versatility as well. The 49ers added another wide receiver and signed Marquez Callaway. And I like Marquez Callaway. I talked about this in the video when we had found out that they were going through a workout. Marquez Callaway is a guy that I've followed quite a bit for my own personal dynasty fantasy reasons. I think Marquez Callaway has a lot of talent. I think he's a good-sized wide receiver, good speed, deep threat. And he has some potential. He's a guy that Sean Payton was pretty high on when he was with the Saints, and then followed Sean Payton to the Denver Broncos. So Callaway, I do think, has some potential. I really do. I personally like Marquez Callaway better than Andy Isabella, but we'll see. We'll see how they fit into the mix. And the 49ers did add a quarterback in Carter Bradley, so that is interesting. Also seeing too that Carter Bradley is the son of Gus Bradley, the 49ers assistant head coach and defensive coach, and thought that's pretty interesting. I assumed that the connection between Carter Bradley was more of a Mick Lombardi thing, where the 49ers, quarterback coach is Mick Lombardi, who was last with the Raiders. Carter Bradley was with the Raiders on their practice squad. So I had assumed that was the connection, but apparently Pops is a coach. Pops is on the team. So that's a crazy connection right there. So we'll see. The 49ers needed another quarterback, that's for sure. They currently had 3 with Mac Jones, Brock Purdy, and Tanner Mordecai. Tanner Mordecai is throwing an interception every day in practice. He's been mediocre. He's been, a practice squad, looks like a practice squad quarterback. There's a clear difference between Mac Jones and Tanner Mordecai. And so I think the 49ers needed another quarterback. I can't imagine he's going to get a ton of reps. But I do find it interesting that he's also related to Gus Bradley, the 49ers defensive coach. In regards to Ben Bartch returning, now what I'm really fascinated to see is what the competition will look like at left guard, because it has only been Nick Sickell running with the ones. We had Ben Bartch, who was running with the ones in OTAs and mandatory minicamp. So it looked like Ben Bartch was slated to have that spot. I thought Nick Sickell has been solid throughout training camp. I mean, I admittedly haven't been watching him just solely, but I also haven't seen anything that has been ultra jarring or standing out in that regard. So I am very curious to see what that's going to look like. If they're going to start rotating with the ones. Does someone start rotating at, I don't know. We're going to have to find out. So Ben Bartch now is available to practice. and I thought he was going to be slated to be the starting guard. So we'll see how that continues to progress moving forward. In regards to the players that the 49ers have released or waived, Equanimous St. Brown is no longer. He was a addition that was added at the beginning of training camp. He had, he started to pick up steam, but again, it wasn't anything crazy. He wasn't like making any wow plays or anything like that. He was involved, with like the second and third team units. He was okay. So the fact that they kind of released him doesn't really move the needle all that much. I didn't anticipate that he was going to be making the roster at that point. I had mentioned that, Russell Gage was kind of the guy who was standing out the most. But the 49ers also waived Sebastian Gutierrez. Not surprised by this either. He's had a tough camp. He's been getting beat a lot in one-on-ones and in situations like that. Wide receiver Malik Knowles, honestly, just didn't get any opportunities. I really didn't see... I don't think he had a catch all of training camp, at least that I noticed or logged in team period. So he just seems like a guy who, really wasn't getting that much run in team period. And so I would say that the additions that they have made are upgrades for sure at wide receiver with Andy Isabella and Marquez Callaway. And then the 49ers also released safety Jalen Mahoney. Mahoney was a UDFA addition last year. He was a practice squad guy, and the San Francisco 49ers decide to move off of him and to make room for these other players and Ben Bartch coming back. So honestly, all things considered, I think these are solid additions. You get Ben Bartch back, and then, two veteran wide receivers and a veteran running back, guys that have played in this league. They have made plays in this league. And, a guy like Amir has been around since 2015. Like he's a guy that's solid. I mentioned and referenced him earlier as a glue guy, guy who might not, be super involved, but like just seeing right now that Amir Abdullah is already being used as a punt returner in practice. So I like it. I think, again, for what it is, not trying to hype anything up more than it needs to be, but for what it is, late moves in training camp, these are solid moves. I think they got better with these moves. We'll obviously see if how that pans out and if any of these guys make the roster in the end. But I think these are solid moves. But you guys let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.